I'm staring at a spreadsheet that's making my heart sink. It's our combined debt, and the total is $62,119. My partner and I have been trying to pay it off for years, but it feels like we're just treading water. We're not alone, though. Millions of people in the US are struggling with debt, and it's not just the amount that's the problem, it's the interest rates, the fees, and the feeling of being stuck. You're probably in a similar situation, with creditors calling, bills piling up, and the stress of not knowing how you'll make ends meet. It's a vicious cycle, and it's hard to see a way out. But here's the thing, we didn't give up, and we started to make progress. We're not financial experts, but we've learned a thing or two about how to tackle debt, and we're willing to share our story with you. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how we paid off $62,119 in debt on 2 average salaries, and you'll have a clear plan to start tackling your own debt. You'll learn how to prioritize your debts, how to negotiate with creditors, and how to create a budget that actually works for you. My partner, who's a freelance writer, and I, who work as a graphic designer, we're making a combined income of $85,000 per year. We thought we were doing okay, but somehow, we'd managed to accumulate a staggering amount of debt. We had credit card debt, student loans, and even a personal loan from a family member. It was overwhelming, and we didn't know where to start. But then, we stumbled upon the debt snowball method, which involves paying off your smallest debts first, while making minimum payments on the rest. It's a simple concept, but it's incredibly powerful. We started by making a list of all our debts, from smallest to largest, and then we began to attack them one by one. It wasn't easy, of course. There were times when we had to sacrifice, when we had to say no to social invitations, or when we had to cook at home instead of ordering takeout. But the sense of progress we made was exhilarating. With each debt we paid off, we felt like we were getting closer to financial freedom. Now, I know what you're thinking, this all sounds great, but what about the interest rates? Won't you end up paying more in the long run? And that's a fair question. The truth is, we did pay more in interest, but the psychological boost we got from paying off those smaller debts was worth it. We felt like we were winning, and that motivated us to keep going. So, what's the first step you can take today to start tackling your debt? It's simple, take out a piece of paper, or open up a spreadsheet, and list all your debts. Write down the balance, the interest rate, and the minimum payment for each one. Then, sort them from smallest to largest, and start attacking that smallest debt first. You're not alone in this journey. Millions of people have paid off debt, and you can too. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. If you're ready to take control of your finances and start building wealth, then keep watching. We've got a lot more to share, and we're excited to have you along for the ride. If you're still with me, it's because you're ready to make a change. You're ready to take control of your debt and start building a better financial future. So, let's get started. What's the biggest debt you're currently facing? Drop it in the comments below, and let's work through this together. One thing that really helped us was using the 50-30-20 rule. You know, where 50% of your income goes towards necessities, 30% towards discretionary spending, and 20% towards saving and debt repayment. It's not a perfect system, but it's a great starting point. We adjusted it to fit our needs, of course, but it gave us a framework to work with. Now, I want to share a specific example of how we used this rule to pay off one of our debts. We had a credit card with a balance of $2,500 and an interest rate of 18%. We were paying the minimum payment of $50 per month, but we knew we had to do more. So, we increased our payment to $500 per month, and we paid off that credit card in just 5 months. It was an incredible feeling, seeing that debt disappear. And it wasn't just the debt that disappeared, it was the stress, the anxiety, and the feeling of being trapped. We felt like we were finally taking control of our finances, and it was an amazing sensation. If you're feeling overwhelmed, just remember that you're not alone. There are millions of people out there who are struggling with debt, just like you. But there are also millions of people who have paid off their debt and are living debt-free. You can be one of them. So, what's the next step you can take today? It's simple. Take that list of debts you made earlier and start prioritizing them. Which one are you going to attack first? Make a plan and stick to it. You got this. And if you're feeling discouraged, just remember that paying off debt is a journey, not a destination. It's not always easy, but it's worth it. Every step you take, every payment you make, is a step closer to financial freedom. If that just clicked for you, hit like. It tells me to keep making this type of content. And if you know someone who's struggling with debt, send them this video. They might just find the motivation they need to start their own debt-paying journey. Finally, I want to leave you with a challenge. For the next 30 days, I want you to track every single transaction you make. Write it down, or use an app, it doesn't matter. Just track it. And then, at the end of those 30 days, take a look at where your money is going. You might be surprised. You can do this. You can pay off your debt and start building wealth. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video, where we'll be talking about how to invest in the stock market for beginners. As we continued on our debt-paying journey, we started to notice some interesting patterns. For example, we found that we were spending an average of $800 per month on dining out, which is about 10% of our total income. That's a lot of money, especially when you consider that we could be using it to pay off our debts. So, we made a conscious effort to cut back on dining out, and instead, we started cooking at home more often. We discovered that we could make some amazing meals for a fraction of the cost, and it was also healthier for us. Another area where we were able to cut back was on subscription services. We had a bunch of streaming services, gym memberships, and software subscriptions that we weren't using as much as we thought. So, we canceled them and saved about $200 per month. It might not seem like a lot, but it's $2,400 per year, which is a significant amount of money that we could be using to pay off our debts. We also started to explore other ways to save money, such as buying generic brands instead of name brand products, and shopping during sales. We even started a small garden in our backyard, which not only saved us money on produce but also provided us with some fresh air and exercise. One of the most surprising things we discovered was that we were able to save about $1,000 per month by making a few simple changes to our spending habits. That's $12,000 per year, which is a huge amount of money that we could be using to pay off our debts. It just goes to show that it's the small, everyday changes that can add up to make a big difference in the long run. Now, I want to share another example of how we used the 50-30-20 rule to pay off one of our debts. We had a personal loan with a balance of $10,000 and an interest rate of 12%. We were paying the minimum payment of $200 per month, but we knew we had to do more. So, we increased our payment to $1,000 per month, and we paid off that loan in just 10 months. It was an incredible feeling, seeing that debt disappear, and it was a big milestone for us on our journey to becoming debt-free. As we continued to make progress on our debt-paying journey, we started to notice some positive changes in our lives. We felt more confident, more in control, and more optimistic about our financial future. We started to see that we had the power to change our financial situation, and that was an incredibly empowering feeling. We also started to explore other ways to make extra money, such as selling items we no longer needed, freelancing, and even renting out a spare room in our house. It was amazing to see how much extra money we could bring in by just being a little creative and resourceful. For example, we started selling items on eBay and Craigslist, and we were able to make an extra $500 per month. We also started freelancing, and we were able to make an extra $1,000 per month. And we even started renting out a spare room in our house.